I'm really looking forward to this conversation today because I've known this person for quite some time. He has made me sound and look good for the last 4 years. And I'm really looking forward to the conversation with Nathan Warner, who will share some of his learnings, tips, tricks, and strategies on how you can improve your online presence the easy way. Nathan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Petra.
I'm so looking forward to this conversation. So funny, we met online for the first time in a very professional sense. You reached out to me on LinkedIn to do a video and I thought, sounds fun. Not sure what I'm doing, but I'll say yes anyway. And you made the process so easy. But for anyone who hasn't met you yet, can you quickly introduce yourself? What are you doing and how did you get to where you're now?
My name's Nathan Warner, and I was actually writing down when you set me up with this interview and it came up with the question, what do you do? I actually kind of tossed and turned between videographer, animator, video content producer, creative consultant, and I found it quite tricky to find out what I did. So I think the closest thing would be the video content producer, but as you know, I'm quite curious, so I wear a lot of hats. But yeah, I help businesses and individuals create engaging video content.
Amazing. And this is how we initially met for video productions. But then you also work with me for the last probably 2 years now to shoot incredible photos for our clients to have better online profile pictures, but also for their websites and so forth. And then I thought I want to start a podcast. And all of a sudden you said, I can actually do the editing for podcasts, which I didn't know. So this is why I say you make everyone look and sound good, which is such a unique skill set and something that we all have to get better at.
That's exactly right.
Now, especially over the last 12 months, everything and everyone has gone online. What kind of trends and changes have you seen, especially for the online presence for individuals and also companies?
A few things I've seen. The main thing I noticed is that big companies and big corporations, we even see it on, actual TV, is when everyone was in lockdown, they actually had professional celebrities and corporations doing just very basic videos. So on their iPhones, you saw some really big figures and there was no big studio budget and there was no big production behind it. They were addressing on TV, on primetime TV in their home settings. And I think that was interesting because it was pretty good for them to say, they wanted to be seen to be staying at home because of coronavirus during 2020. And I think that encouraged a lot of people it kind of nudged them over the line that they could do it online. They could have an online presence. They can do videos themselves with their iPhones. And I think I've noticed that actually there's been a big influx on customers that want to not only do their own video content, but start up their own online learning platforms. The other thing as well is even with my family and friends noticing that students weren't able to go into school, and it kind of reinforced that you can learn from home. Because we've been slowly migrating to the digital, and this was the final thing to kind of push everyone to, it kind of forced them to learn online and study online and work from home. And yeah, so I think it's been the last nudge and now people are feeling a bit more confident about it.
That's a great segue with feeling confidence, because what I've also seen with so many, say, executives or senior professionals who are very experienced with public speaking, they don't have an issue to stand in front of a crowd, to host meetings, to run workshops and so forth. In a second, the red light comes on from the camera, they freeze and nothing happens. You said already, just because it's a little bit more normal and people are doing it, they feel a bit more confident. However, most still don't do it. Have you got any tips on how we can actually be more confident on camera?
It's so true that as well, because I know some very impressive business people that they can stand in front of thousands of people and talk, and the moment they're in front of a camera, they're even bewildered. They're like, why can't I say these? I know this stuff, and they get irritated with themselves. So definitely the first thing to remember is stay calm. If it's a live video, it's just like a talk, so don't stress too much. And if it is a recording that is going to be edited, remember that it's just take your time and don't stress yourself out. It'll be fine. You can edit it. That's the magic of filmmaking. The things I would say to remember when you're either videoing yourself or having somebody else do it for you is don't sweat the little things. You will be looking at your wrinkles or the fact that you put on more weight over the past years, or you hate how you say this, or you hate your teeth. Nobody is looking at that. Next time you watch a video online on YouTube, just even take yourself out of your shoes and realize how much you're not looking at that person's physical appearance that much. You've got to be presentable, but you don't have to be this airbrush stunning supermodel. Nobody cares. They're there for the content. It just helps that it looks neat and, you know, presentable. The other thing would be that you're not a trained actor. So the biggest thing people think is when they are doing videos, they give themselves a full script to memorize every single word. Nobody learns like that. If you're not a trained actor, you're not going to memorize whatever it will be, say 100 to 500 words verbatim. So do what you do whenever you do these talks, you give yourself bullet points. If you know your field, if you know your discipline or your industry, you will easily be able to be prompted. So don't overwhelm yourself with a giant script with all these cues, because I've done that with clients and they just freak out. Then the last thing I'd say for confidence is make sure that you turn on your smile. Turn your smile dial up, I tell clients. When you're talking, kind of like how when you're talking to somebody or listening, you'll naturally look quite bored and you'll talk quite monotone. Make sure that you turn your smile up, and it seems fake. It's kind of like the Californian smile, you know, they're very sunny. It feels ridiculous, but it translates much better on camera. So if you're talking to people in the everyday world, like at meetings or networking events, you would never talk to them like, hey, how you doing there? My name's Nathan Warner. Nice to meet you. It's too much. It's too animated. But on camera, it looks natural. Actually, in fact, if you don't do that, it looks really bad. It looks like you're bored or angry, because people naturally frown. So
it's an amazing point, because also in the second you smile, you've got a different voice and a different tone, and this is also what people picking
I'll
up.
say you're also fantastic at that as well.
Stop it.
You've gotten very good at just turning up that sunniness and seeming engaging. You can just switch it on, and then when I talk to you normally, you're back to normal face. So yeah.
But you know, this is great feedback. So we are all for words of affirmation. So we give each other compliments all the time.
And I'll keep going as well, because all of the filming, I knew the creative side of it, but because of you, I learned so much about personal branding and about the reasoning, and I guess people's why are they filming, because that does come into it. So you taught me a lot of the marketing things, whether it's directly to me or more just me inheriting so much of your wisdom and knowledge, being at your networking events. Remember, I was behind the camera the whole time, so I was learning a lot and then crawling through the edits. So segue, thank you so much for teaching me the reason why I'm making film.
Honestly, we are the perfect team. So I enjoy working with you so much, because you make the process very easy, and you always, which I love about you, just staying with the words of affirmation here, is that you make it easy for people to be in front of a camera, because you constantly make jokes, you laugh about yourself, so you make people feel relaxed. And this is what the real secret here is, to make a video production or photo shoots really successful, that people enjoy themselves, that they don't have this awkward smile here, or, you know, pose here, because everyone can smile and look at this a mile away.
We might need to get on with it, because this feels like the advert break in the middle of the podcast episode. And now, just for a plug about Nathan and Petra and how amazing they are. Now back to our feature episode.
But you know, it just also proves the point that when you feel comfortable, you just do it very natural. And this is especially on video, what you just mentioned before, needs to come across, that people are more looking for the authenticity of the genuine content, rather than looking perfect. People are over this. We are not in the 2010s anymore, where you have to have a curated feed with everything looking perfect. You need to be the subject matter expert, and this is what people are looking for. At the same time, yes, short and sharp. It's not about talking for an hour nonstop. People don't have the time. How can you condense your message in a minute or two, have bullet points? And this is also what makes it much easier for you to record videos.
True, you can make it snappy. Actually, the more professional and polished you make a video, it's good, but even how you present it, the more alienated you become. So I think it's good to it's like hearing any talker, you want to see people know what they're talking about, be sharp, they feel confident about looking at them. But if you do that too much, so it becomes artificial and people can't relate to it. Something good about you is that you do make mistakes, and you make up your own words. So some words I listen, I'm like, that's two words mixed together. But the good thing about you is that you own it. So that makes people think, oh, it feels comfortable. If you meet somebody that impressive and that on it and sharp, it makes people feel like, oh, I don't want to go near them. I'm too shy or they're too big. But you're very adaptable and you're very approachable. So with the big smile, and you, again, own your stuff ups. And I've only met a few clients that do that. And that's definitely something that shouldn't be unsung.
Yeah, thank you for that. This is also a great tip in terms of personal branding. You want to be clear about how do you want to come across, because that comes in your content production, in your photos, in your clothing, whatever you put out there. When you say, I want to look very professional, very authoritative, very experienced, whatever it might be, you've got a very different presence to someone who says, I'm happy to make a joke out of myself. I'm happy to be seen as approachable or funny or dorky. So I can allow myself to make those mistakes and it still feels authentic because it's part of your brand. There's nothing right or wrong with either. It's just the question, how do you want to come across? How would you feel comfortable that people introduce you to others and remember you? And based on that, you create your content, you create your videos, you have your photo shoots.
And it's not what's perfect, but what's perfect for you personally, what suits you. Yeah, yes. I get that.
Now, what you told me is having a clear structure in terms of videos. So it's all about having a hook, getting people's attention first, then having some insights and a call to action. How do you recommend anyone who wants to start with videos, where to start? How can we find this hook that makes people interested in listening to you further?
That's tricky because it depends on the industry, on the person, and I guess the approach you're going for, because that kind of goes into the PR realm of, are you trying to get away from the old school corporate, or do you want to seem more professional? I've worked with a lot of new age kinesiologists, and they were trying to get away from that kind of new age hippie vibe, and they want to be seen as serious. And there's some people that are a little bit too stiff and boxy, and they want to be seen as approachable and casual. So I guess the one thing I'd say is definitely evaluate, even with your services, evaluate what it is you exactly want. But the one thing I'd say is definitely come up with a format of, I guess it's the end outcome of where you want your videos to go. So that always falls down to, and this would be the biggest unsung thing, would be the pre-production. So make sure that you're scripting and formatting and figuring out why you're making videos. I've had a few clients that they start making videos and they don't fully understand why they're making the videos. So I kind of think of it as, you've got your business as the store and you're making products, but you don't know who wants to buy them and you don't know where they're going to be on the shelf. And the shelves, I guess, could be Facebook or social media. So definitely having a clear understanding of why you're making videos, where they're going to and for who. Because a lot of people now are saying, oh, everything is all about video, we need to make videos, but they're not really understanding why they're making the videos. And that can be a bit of a problem. So I'd say probably, the biggest thing would be try to understand why you're making videos and I guess the destination of those videos.
Amazing tip. You start with the end in mind, because this...
That's exactly it. Thank you for saying that. That's what I was trying to say. I think I said video probably about 20 times in that little bit.
Yes, but the end in mind determines the start of it. So you want to either have an interesting fact, did you know, like asking a question, or putting a controversial statement in there that you then bust. For example, the earth is flat, said no one ever, or something like that. That people are like, huh? What is she talking about? What is he talking about? This is not even true.
This is why you're in front of the camera and I'm behind the camera. So I can give you good pointers and make you look good, but you've always been able to refine it. So you're like, oh yeah, I think you're saying this, I'll say it. And then you say it in a clear way. Perfect. Yeah.
But practice makes not ever perfect, but better anyway, and more comfortable. Like when we started doing videos, I was stumbling. I don't know how often I started with the same sentence and just forgot it. Even now, when I haven't done videos for quite some while, for quite some time, it's quite hard for me to get back into it. But again, you make the process so easy by simply giving the pointers. And this is, I think, also an important trait and a skill from somebody you work with. How can you support your strength, but also complement your weaknesses?
True. And actually, the first time we met, it was a video with you and me, and I was interviewing you in front of the camera. And that was probably one of the last times I was in front of the camera. So I think after being with you, I learnt my place and I got on the other side of the camera and let you have the limelight. So
stop it.
Yeah, good point.
Now, we have also been talking a little bit about the increase of videos in general, and that people are more comfortable to do their own videos. And there's this big saying, also what Gary Vaynerchuk always says, document rather than create, meaning take on the go content. You are at a conference, take a photo. You are hosting a lunch and learn session, take a photo or a quick video of what the session is about. Have you got any tips, tricks, strategies, tools, anything that can make the production on the go a little bit easier, but also looking professional without having to do the professional editing?
It's a few film techniques definitely would be definitely check the lighting. A lot of people they kind of are standing in front of the light. It's behind them. So make sure it's in front of you so it does light you up. I see a lot of people and then you've got to adjust that and fix that. It's really quite tricky though because there is such a large aggregation of videos out there. It's not necessarily about having a clear understanding. You're actually kind of going against the new school. So the old school way of production was you pay a big budget, you have paid actors, and it's very controlled. What people are doing these days is very uncontrolled. It's very natural and, like we said, transparent. So it'd be more to create engaging content. There is also another saying, which is quantity is the new quality. And I still don't know if I fully agree with that, but I do understand where they're coming from. It's not necessarily about what content you're producing. So if I'm at a live expo or workshop, it's just the video can act as a reminder that you're still there, you're still engaging, and you're reminding people that you're still there. It's exactly the same as advertisements during the commercial break. It's just, why does McDonald's still need to advertise? Everyone knows who they are. It's just that constant brand recognition. So when you're at an expo and you say, hey, I'm Nathan Warner, I'm at this expo with this person here, stay tuned, we're coming up. It's just reminding people that you're still there with fresh content. And it's giving the algorithms of things like Google and all the social media, it's reminding them that you're still present and you're still engaging with their platform. So you're scratching their back so they scratch yours. So really, I think that's what they mean by documenting opposed to just filming constantly. There's no real way to make it. It's just a way to show that you're still there. It's a reminder.
I would actually agree with the quantity over quality aspect, that you can talk about the same topic or the same content a few times. And this is also what takes the overwhelm out of creating content. So when you say, I've got this big event coming up, you can say, first, I'm really excited to be at this event. Who else is there? Next one is, I just spotted this speaker and I can't wait to learn about so-and-so. Then you are on the go, you are traveling there, you are taking people on the journey. You can ask a question, would you prefer aisle or window, where we could still travel? Is your go-to drink for when you're on the road coffee or tea? Just getting people engaged. Then you are there saying, you know, I'm really excited, 5 minutes to go until my speech. Then you do a recap. So even though we're talking about the one and only event and conference that you're attending, you can talk about that for literally 2 weeks without getting boring, because you always have a different angle. And as you said, it's all about being top of mind and remembering people that you're there, and also reminding them about your values. It's all about learning and development, for example, or speaker, or anything that you want to be associated with. You talk about it rather than sitting down and perfecting this amazing post that is all about education, but doesn't show any personality.
Actually, I think that's really true. And that reminds me actually that the biggest thing that stops people and makes them procrastinate can be perfection and perfecting things. So opposed to us stressing, this needs to look perfect and I need to have relevant things and this video needs to go viral, treat video like it is these days. It's not this big thing where we set up the production, we have a massive budget and it's going to be big. It's going to be on prime time TV when you've made it. Now, because there's so many videos and everyone can do them, there's a lot of videos if you go with that in mind. And a good example of that is they even say with stand-up comedians, if you can think of a stand-up comic, so you go and see whoever's on stage at the moment. When you leave there, you know how you can never remember what jokes were said? You actually remember probably 1 or 2 jokes, but you can't remember exactly what jokes you heard. Same as any speaker. When you go to a meetup or any kind of networking event and you hear somebody, you'll say, oh, I really liked them, they were great. If you ask somebody, what can you tell me some things they said? You'll be able to remember 1 or 2 things, but they weren't exactly the things that they weren't the best things. You're like, oh, I can't remember what joke they said, or I can't remember what insight, because you have to write it down. It's because people rarely actually remember the content or what people say. they actually take away the persona. They take away the values and how that person held themselves and how they carry themselves. So with that in mind, when you're making a video, don't stress the little things like the content of what you're saying, because half the time people are subconsciously listening, but they're more watching, subconsciously how you hold yourself, what kind of vibe you're setting out. Are you energetic? Are you dry? Are you engaging? It's the little things in between there. So don't stress too much about the actual content. It's the persona, it's the personality that you're giving off.
That's such an important reminder, because also the saying from Maya Angelou, when she said, nobody remembers what you said, but everyone remembers how you made them feel. The same applies to your videos, to your photos. People are processing photos or images 60,000 times faster than text alone. And with video, it's just another way of how you can come across, how you can portray yourself without necessarily having to say anything. People don't always look for the latest and greatest, the best content. They just want to get entertained as well as educated. So this is a really good reminder.
It is the difference. It's the difference between being, I don't know, a personality and a real person, opposed to being a news presenter, which is very much hello there, and my name is Nathan Warner. I'm here live at the expo, and it's very rigid, opposed to having that kind of raw camera angle and talking to people and there's background noise. So I say just the biggest thing would just be action based. So just do it.
Now we've talked a little bit about the do's and don'ts. We need to have the light in front of us or on the side rather than in the back, because that can make us look black or very shadowy. Have you got any other tips and tricks how we can look better in front of a camera or even on a photo?
How to look better? It's quite tricky unless you're actually there, and it depends on the equipment you're using. If you're just using an iPhone, it can be quite limiting, and it's very automated. So the shutter speed and the focal points, it'll all be fixed up, so kind of idiot proof. So it does make you look good regardless of where you are. Definitely standing so the light is hitting your face, opposed to the other way around. Hence why a lot of people, they'll put themselves in front of a beautiful view behind them, but that beautiful view will make them look shadowy. Nobody can see now because this is just audio, but much like I am right now. The other thing would be probably that would be visual control, but audio control as well. If you're not using professional audio recording equipment, it can be quite noisy. So make sure that you control the sound by putting yourself somewhere quiet. The best place is windows. So if you're inside somewhere with a window in the background, that would be another prompt. And yeah, try not to use too many filters, because it can actually lower the resolution of the picture. So the more you airbrush yourself and bring out and edit the frame from an iPhone, it can pixelate it much more. And you don't see this, but when it goes to other people's computer, it actually loses the sharpness and the quality. It's going to always look a lot better on your own device.
These are really so many great tips that you can use for your phone. And we are also going to dig deeper in this topic on the 13th of April, where you will run a workshop on how we can present ourselves better online. And the same tips and tricks and techniques are also applicable for online meetings, for example, because it's also video presence. So you don't want to have the video or the light behind you, and all those small little tricks to help you to create a better executive presence.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, have you got any tools or apps that you swear by and would recommend everyone to use?
I actually wrote down a few of these, and the one I would love the most would probably be one called Switcher Studio. So Switcher Studio is an online app that you can use for your iPhone or Android device. And basically it's nothing, you can record on it, but it's mainly for live videos. And you can even put your own personal logo. You can upload it to the profile. So whenever you put out a live video, your logo will be on the bottom screen along with your name or whatever you want. So it's almost like a filter. That was really good too, because actually this is what I used when I was interviewing you when I first met you. And the best thing about that, it's actually a little bit of a hack or a bit of a cheat, is you can actually record if you're interviewing somebody or doing a live video, you can record it, you can edit it, or if it's a good take, and then you can actually upload that video to this Switcher Studio, and it's actually comes out as being live, but it's not. It's been pre-recorded. So you can record however you want and be amazing and then upload it as a live video. And for all people know, it was a perfect, flawless take. So really good. And it's a good way to actually brand your live videos. The other one would be, I've got nothing against iMovie. I think industry standard wise, that gets a lot of bad rap. A lot of people say go on to Adobe for, you know, Photoshop or Premiere Pro, but iMovie, and if you're feeling like going a bit more professional, Final Cut Pro, which is another really, if you don't want a subscription-based software, it's perfect. And the last one would be Lumen 5, which is perfect for editing. Other than that, Instagram, Facebook are actually doing some pretty impressive things when it comes to video timeline editing.
Oh, amazing. There were so many tools already
Oh,
there.
actually, the last one too. This is more for photos. Have you heard of Pexel?
Yes.
Pexel, I love Pexel because if you go to a lot of like Shutterstock images that cost quite a bit, they offer a lot of free stock footage for photos, not videos. And you can also buy as well.
Yes, that's a good point, because not all the time we need to have our own footage. Sometimes we just need a nice stock photo to already enhance the content that we put out there. So
yeah, like a background or for like
exactly.
LinkedIn profile.
I love it. Now, before we wrap up, as I said, we've got our workshop on the 13th of April, where we talk more about how to present yourself incredibly well online on a camera, but also in online meetings in front of, you know, a video camera, but also a normal photo camera. Now, in terms of video, you also just quickly mentioned live videos, but where do you see the future of videos going into it? We've seen such an increase in video. Do we see more of that? Do we see different types of content and videos? Are people over video? What do you think?
It's tricky to try and figure out, because I mean, when you asked me this question before, I didn't really know how to answer it, because it's almost like guessing where science and technology will go. I mean, at the end of the day, it's still somebody's opinion. So I kind of thought more about the video maker. So because I mean, obviously the shelf life for an industry like filmmaking is quite tricky. And I've had to think about that as well. Will it become completely obsolete with automation? Everyone's filming now. And what I realized actually is it's not necessarily the quality of videos that I make, but it's actually, again, the relationships you build and how you make people feel good. And this goes not just to filmmakers. I mean, it does, but it's not necessarily professional filmmakers like myself where it's my business, because everyone is a filmmaker now. So it actually applies to everyone. So it's more just about surrounding yourself with people that make you feel confident. As we said, you've got some incredibly charismatic people that can do public talking. They're making millions in their own business and they've had a very fruitful career. But when you put them in front of a camera, they freeze up and they don't know how to act and they don't know what to do. What I've noticed is that people are actually more in need of feeling confident and having direction. Sometimes it's just a sounding board. So I would say, I think the future will be more, it's kind of like automation. Just because things can be done, it's more, you know, the soft skills, how they say hard skills can be easily automated, but the soft skills will be a bit tricky, will be the last to go. So I think it's more the humans in front of and behind the camera that will actually make that easier, whether it's an iPhone or whether it's a really expensive mirrorless DSLR. But yeah, I would say it's probably more because there is such a lot of movies out there online. Yeah, I guess it would come back down to the quality of the interactions, why we're making films and who's in front of the camera and what creativity is going behind these productions.
Agree. And I think also because we've got more access to those tools, often they are free tools, and it becomes more the norm, people also expect a higher quality. So I think we are also leveling up in our own content production, because when we just started, all of us, including Zoom meetings, everyone accepted dropouts, worst backgrounds ever, you know, bad connection and tone and voice. But now, because it's become so natural, people expecting a higher quality. And I agree with you that it's not often the tool that makes a difference, but the people who support you and give you a little bit structure to make it easier to overcome the overwhelm makes all the difference.
And it would definitely be the written content. At the end of the day, no matter what kind of production or bells and whistles and glitter and smoke and mirrors are put on something, the written content, the actual content itself, the naked truth is what makes content engaging. So if you've got these explosions and you've got these amazing sound effects and you've got these awesome visuals, but there's no story, there's no narrative, or just, there's no substance, it's not going to be a good video. It's not going to be a good piece of content unless it's, substance based.
Awesome. So many good tips and tricks. I'm really looking forward to our workshop. So whoever listens to this live, make sure you hop over to the link in the show notes and join us live on the 13th of April. It will also be recorded, and you can also give some of the exercises with a go prior to it, how to take a photo. Then we also give some feedback. So feel free to join. It's a very safe and fun place to be, as you will experience. Nathan, have you got any final words? And also, where can people find you and learn more about you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, and they can also find me on Facebook and Instagram, Jack Loom Productions. And definitely reach out if you've got any questions, and I'll talk to you soon.
Awesome. Well, I'll put all the links in the show notes. And again, thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to what the future holds for us.
Definitely. Thanks so much, Petra.
Thank you.